Hello, and welcome to Jenna Rereads the Silmarillion, Episode 3, Melkor Destroys Stuff. Alright, so this time we will be discussing Chapter 3 of the book, which is called Of the Beginning of Days. Now, this chapter is actually the start of the Quenta Silmarillion proper. So, we are now in that section, and this is going to be by far and away the longest section of the book. I mean, I know I talked about before how the Silmarillion is actually divided into 5 parts, and we finished the first 2 parts already. But we're going to be on this third one for quite some time, so yeah, get comfortable. Okay, so last time we were introduced to the different Valar, the different Maiar, and the enemies. Now, we didn't exactly make any forward progress at all in the narrative, so we're going to backtrack a bit to where we left off at the end of the Ainulindale. In case you forgot, the Valar and a bunch of Maiar descended into Arda after it was created, and they started shaping it to get it ready for the appearance of the children of Iluvatar, and they don't know when that's going to be. But, unfortunately, Melkor just decided to destroy everything because he's a jerk. So, they were fighting with Melkor to try to get everything set up. And so that's where we were. And at the beginning of this chapter, well, they're still fighting. But they're making such a goddamn racket that, like, Iluvatar and the other Ainur that are still hanging out with Iluvatar can hear it. And then one of them, Tulkas, decides, it sounds like they could use a hand against that Melkor punk. So he descends into Arda for the express purpose of beating the shit out of Melkor. Seriously, that's the only reason he comes. Just so he can kick Melkor's ass. And it works. Said, Melkor, when confronted with Tulkas, you'll remember that Tulkas, runs really fast, and he's really good at kicking people's asses, and he, laughs all the time. Melkor hears his laughter, and he's like, oh my god! So he runs away, and he actually leaves Arda, and just kind of hangs out in the void. Yeah, back in the void. The void, apparently, it can be... Well, I don't know, it's not really part of Arda, because Arda's the planet, but it's part of Ai. You remember Ai is the universe. So he's not back up with Iluvatar or anything. He just runs out into the void. So Melkor's out there, and he ends up staying there for a while. And this gives the Valar a bit of a breather. They're like, hey, Melkor's gone! So, they got everything set up. All the plants that Yavanna's been planting start to grow, and everything's wonderful. The Valar are currently residing on an island called Almaren in a lake in Middle-earth. I mentioned this back in the Ainulindale when we were talking about terminology. Middle-earth is a continent on the planet Arda. So that's where they are. And they're partying, and they're having a good time, and they're making stuff. They realize that they need light sources because Melkor's not, setting shit on fire all the time now. So Aule makes these 2 big pillars with these 2 bowls on top of them, and Varda fills the bowls with light. So these are the 2 lamps, and they are called Iluin and Ormal. So, one is up in the north, and one of them is in the south, and they provide light for the whole world. So anyway, while all of this is going on, Manwë decides to hold a big party just to celebrate how awesome everything is, and also to celebrate the wedding of Tulkas and Nessa. So that seems to basically indicate that my theory about Iluvatar playing matchmaker with the Ainur may not be correct. Or maybe it is correct, and it was all predetermined, and that they just then find each other. I don't know. Anyway, Tulkas and Nessa are getting married, and they have a big party to celebrate. But Owlay and Tulkas are kind of tired because they've been working so hard. I mean, it's really hard, like, running around, looking for Melkor, and, like, building stuff. So, they're tired. And then, after he gets married, Tulkas decides to take a nap. Meanwhile, Melkor, despite the fact that he's hanging out in the void, he's got spies among the Maiar. So he knows what the Valar are doing. And he's got sort of his evil henchmen with him. So he's still basically jealous of stuff that other people create. He still has those issues. Where it's like, if he didn't create it, then it sucks, and he wants to destroy it. So he sees everything that they've done. And instead of being like, oh, that's really nice, you guys did a great job on that, he's like, I want to destroy it all, I hate this stuff. So he's up in the void, brooding and plotting. And when Tulkas falls asleep at his wedding feast, Melkor decides to strike. He comes back into Arda. He basically sneaks in without the Valar knowing. Because he, like, uses the shadows cast by the lamp Iluin, which is the one that's in the north, to sneak in without them being able to see him. And he starts building this big, ridiculous underground fortress way up north called Autumno. And I'm sorry, every time I hear the name Autumno, all I can think of is, like, the word for autumn that's autumno. I can't help but think of that every single time. So, while he's doing all of this, his game gets given away because, like, this is a theme with evil in Tolkien. I mean, you may recall in The Lord of the Rings how, like, the whole area surrounding Mordor and most of the country itself was, like, completely desolate. Like, evil has the power to pretty much destroy the landscape itself. So, basically, this whole, like, destruction zone starts radiating outward from Autumno. They see all the plants are dying, everything's coming corrupted, and some of the, like, animals start turning into monsters. And the Valar are like, oh, shit, Melkor's back, damn it. But Melkor makes the first move before the Valar can even get off their asses to do anything. He attacks the lamps, and he destroys both of them. See, there's that thing with Melkor and light again. He, wants to possess light for himself, doesn't want anybody else to have it, and so he goes and destroys the lamps. And then he just retreats back to Autumno before Tulkas can catch up with him. And as a result of this destruction, the lands just get totally wrecked again. And the Valar are like, ugh, come on. We just had all this sorted, and now we have to go freaking do it all over again. Thanks, Melkor, you dick. So the Valar are struggling to basically set everything to rights and hold everything together, so they can't, like, go off and attack Melkor en masse. Besides, like, he's actually powerful enough at this point where he can hold his own against all of them. Like, before Tulkas came into Arda, it actually says that Melkor had the upper hand against all the other Valar. That's how powerful he is. So, like, just a couple of them, they can't really take Melkor on. And another thing, they're kind of hesitant to get involved because, as we can see, these wars between the Valar and Melkor tend to be pretty frickin' destructive. Like, entire continents get ripped up. Also, remember that, because it's going to actually come up again. And not just in this chapter, but it's going to come up again in this book. So the Valar are kind of reluctant to act because they're like, oh, but we don't know where the children of Iluvatar are, and what if our fighting with Melkor accidentally kills them all? Which I was like, well, okay, I guess I kind of see where they're coming from. But they should have realized that, like, leaving Melkor to just rampage around unchecked was not exactly going to be a good thing for the children of Iluvatar either, geniuses. See, remember when I said that the Valar aren't exactly infallible? Yeah, well, here's a good example of that. So the Valar, their response is to basically just retreat. They leave Middle-earth, and they head off to the continent of Aman. This continent is located in the far western part of Arda, and it borders on the edges of the world, basically. The world is actually supposed to be flat at this point, which is interesting. So that they go and they start fortifying it. Like, they raise up these very high mountains called the Pelori, of which the highest is the holy mountain of Taniquetil, which you may remember from last time I mentioned it when I was talking about Manwë and Farda. So they create the land of Valinor. Basically, this is just the land of the Valar. This is the part of the continent of Aman where all the Valar live. So they start building all their dwelling places and stuff. And they pretty much settle in. Meanwhile, Melkor's just running amok in Middle-earth, but whatevs. So one thing that they create that's going to be, well, I should say two things, actually, that are going to be really, 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 really important. So, yeah, pay attention to this bit. So Yavanna and Jenna embark on a bit of a collaborative project. Yavanna goes to the Green Hill of Izelohar. The only reason I'm mentioning that name is because I find that name funny. I think it sounds like a sneeze. It's like, Izelohar! So, they go to this hill, and Jenna waters the hill with her tears. Okay, that's kind of weird, but we'll just go with it. And Yavanna, after, like, meditating on the hill for a while, creates two beautiful, glittering, sparkly trees. These trees are, as I already said, really important. The first one is called Telperion. It's silver, and it has dark-colored leaves, and it gives sort of a paler, softer light. Telperion can kind of be compared to the moon, which, yeah, there's a direct connection there, which I won't get into because it's spoilery. And the other tree is called Laurelin, and it's gold, and it has, like, kind of light green leaves. And its light is brighter, and so it's kind of like the sun. So these trees are the new light sources to replace the lamps. And they're on a sort of dimming cycle, or a waxing and waning cycle. Like, one of them will be brighter, and the other one will be dimmer, throughout the day. And then there's 2 points in the day, like dusk and dawn, when the lights mingle. So it follows kind of the same cycle as the sun and moon do, basically. And they provide light for all of Valinor and, like, all of Aman, but they can't be seen from Middle-earth. The light doesn't reach all the way to Middle-earth because the Pelori Mountains that the Valar raised up basically block it. So Middle-earth is under the stars. Like, there's no light except starlight. Those are the trees, and the creation of the trees marks the beginning of what is called the Years of the Trees. So before that, like, there's no recorded history at all. But now, this is when time first starts to be counted. And this time period, the Years of the Trees, is going to last until the beginning of the First Age. But we will get into that when we get there. Most of the Valar have basically just started not giving a shit about Middle-earth. Yeah, this is going to be a theme. The Valar are not giving a fuck about Middle-earth. But there are some exceptions. Like, Ulmo, as I talked about last time, never, like, abandons Middle-earth because he's in all water everywhere. And so Ulmo, because he's in every single stream and everything, actually keeps, like, some life going in Middle-earth, despite the fact that Melkor is just running amok over there, destroying everything, and corrupting everything. So Ulmo cares, And Yavanna goes there, and she also tries to heal a lot of the hurts that Melkor's caused, a lot of the corruption. And Orme goes over there too, and he basically loves hunting all of Melkor's, like, monsters and stuff. But as soon as he leaves, they come back out and start destroying stuff. So Yavanna and some of the other Valar are of the opinion that, look, we need to strike now, and we need to take care of Melkor before the children of Iluvatar wake up. They don't know when they're going to wake up, and they don't know where. But they're like, we got to do something about this. But others are like, but we might accidentally kill them when we end up destroying continents when we fight Melkor. So this ends up being the prevailing opinion, and the Valar's response is to just do nothing. Once again, this is going to be a bit of a theme, where the Valar's response to things is to do nothing. So those are pretty much the main events of the chapter. But the very end gives us some information on the differences between elves and humans. Now, this is something that's going to get brought up a lot, and I think that there's probably going to be a better place to talk about it. So I don't think I'm going to really go into detail here. I'll just kind of do a basic run through. Elves are immortal, like they live forever unless they happen to be killed in battle or something like an accident or something like that. They don't get sick. Or they can also die of grief. And they are bound to the world. As we talked about last time, when elves die, their spirits go to the halls of Mondos. And after a while, they can eventually be what's called re-embodied, where the Valar just, make a new body for them. That's the same as their old body, and they just come back to life. They're stuck in Arda until the world ends, basically. Now, men, Tolkien calls them men, but I generally use the word humans because I like that much better. They are obviously not immortal. They're humans that just die like real-life humans do. But death is called the gift of Iluvatar. Unlike the elves, they are not bound to the world. They leave the world when they die, and they go somewhere. We don't know where. Or I should say the elves don't know where, and that's why it's not in this book. But they also have more freedom to sort of shape their own destiny than the elves do. So, yeah, I think that's it. All that I'm going to say about that for now. I said it's going to come up again, so there'll be other places where we can talk about it. So that concludes this chapter. Now, the big thing for discussion with this one is the Valar's actions, or I should say inaction, regarding Melkor. It's like, okay, I can kind of see where they're coming from, where they're like, oh, what if we accidentally kill all the children of Iluvatar because they don't know where they are? Which, it seems kind of like, maybe Iluvatar should have told them where they were. I think that could have prevented a lot of trouble, particularly if we're to expect that Iluvatar knows everything that's going to happen, and therefore knew that Melkor was going to destroy everything and cause so much trouble. So I can kind of see where they're coming from with that, but at the same time, it's like, okay, yeah, but what the hell do you think Melkor is going to do to them? And we're going to see the effects of this in just a couple chapters, the effects of this policy, because the elves are going to wake up. So I'm kind of the opinion that the Valar should have freaking gone in there when they had the chance and taken Melkor out. Seriously, just get rid of him. Deal with him. Don't freaking let him just run around in Middle-earth, do whatever he wants. Go deal with him. And it's like, when they retreat from Middle-earth, they said most of them just, stop caring about it. They just, stop giving a shit. And it's like, no, you guys, you are not in charge of protecting Amon. You are in charge of the whole world. You can't just abandon abandon parts of it. And that just pisses me off. And, you know, that has a lot to do with why Ulmo's my favorite Vala, because Ulmo cares. Ulmo actually gives a damn, unlike most of them. So, anyway, I mean, you'll find a lot of debate in fandom about the Valar. They tend to be kind of polarizing. You'll find that there are some people who love the Valar and think they're, like, practically infallible, and that there are also, like, other people who really, really hate them. You know, it often tends to have a relation to which characters are your favorite characters. But I'm one of those people who tends to fall into the, like, Valar critical category, where I'm pretty critical of them. I mean, I wouldn't say I outright hate them, but I think they make some really bad decisions. I mean, I get that they, needed some time to regroup after Melkor destroyed the lamps, that they had to build themselves a new dwelling place and regroup or whatever. But after that, it's like, go take Melkor out! Just do something! Ugh. Don't just leave him there. Ugh. It's like they were more preoccupied with just making pretty things and stuff like that than actually dealing with Melkor, which, to be quite honest, I think should have been their priority. I mean, I think a lot of this and the neglect of Middle-earth is really evidenced by the fact that the trees can't be seen from Middle-earth. They don't provide light from Middle-earth, they just do for Amon. It's like, are you kidding me? Come on now. Really? That just irritates me. So, I don't think there's really much else to say about this chapter. So, next time, I know this episode's been a little bit shorter than other ones, but there wasn't quite as much info that I needed to get out, which might actually be fairly common now, considering we've gotten a lot of the sort of introductory info in already. Although there's definitely more introductory info to come, but at least we've got the introductory info about the Valar and Melkor out of the way. So next time, we will find out what Aule has been doing instead of kicking Melkor's ass. So I will see you guys then. Take care.